our lives are going to hit us with all kinds of experiences. Where do we take those, and where can we go from there?
I
And
love that you pointed that. Where do we take it and where can we go from there? Completely. And when you have that internal component of, oh my God, like, could you imagine that poor mother? That was, I highly doubt that was her intention in her life, was to experience that, but to take that pain and to bring it forward and say, there are other people who have experienced this. There's nobody who knows exactly what I felt like, but I can help raise awareness so that somebody else doesn't have this pain.
right.
That's an incredible thing. That is movement forward. That is energy moving through you, and to help other people and to be of service is absolutely incredible.
Mama says namaste. Mama says namaste.
Making a family can be easy and fun.
Oh yeah, but raising a family can be a whole different story.
From spouses to kids to the crazy daily grind, life often directs us away from connection and more into reactive chaos.
If you're tired of that cycle and are seeking something beyond the picket fence blues, this is the show for you.
I'm Ashley.
And I'm Nathan.
And we're here to take you from chaos to clarity by bringing awareness and intention into your home, not waiting for one day, and highlighting how
the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.
We are back with another interview on the podcast with a return guest. I had so much fun the first time Lenora came on that I wanted to bring her back to dig deeper into all the many facets that are her world. So often when we have interviews, when we have times to learn about somebody, we hear about something that they're passionate about and we hear one topic, but there are many of us that are multi-passionate, that have lots of different areas, lots of things that we can talk about. And Lenora is one of these people. So I originally had her on as we talked about better speech, and we talked specifically about language, and it was a fascinating conversation. So Lenora Edwards is back on here, and I'm going to have her give an intro that's beyond speech to some of the other stuff that she is doing as well. So first off, welcome, Lenora, for coming in. If you want to give just a quick thing, and then we'll just dig into kind of breaking down from the back to how you got to where you are.
I am so happy to be back here with you, Ashley. Thank you so, so much. And I love that you said multi-passionate, because it is so true. There are so many things that we are passionate about, and we're definitely clearly something you and I have in common.
Yes.
So what I'm one very wildly determined woman, and in that evolution of the things that I've experienced over my life, things are, whenever you look behind you, it's always 20/20 vision. Going through it, I couldn't see the direction, and I couldn't necessarily grasp onto a lot of the things as to why they were being pieced together for me. But now that I look back, it has really become quite pieced together. So you mentioned that I am a speech language pathologist, and I was on here a couple of weeks ago, which was absolutely fantastic. And in my career of speech pathology, I also had a number of passions. One of them was a baking business. And the entire time that I was baking, I was looking very much for answers to my questions. And I would spend hours baking under a set of headphones, looking up questions and looking up the answers to my questions, and why was I having the difficulties that I was having? Because outwardly I was bright, I was happy, I was a smile, but I also struggled deeply with having anxiety, and I also had disordered eating that was becoming so dominantly terrible in my life that I didn't really realize that I needed external support until I was in the dentist chair getting my second root canal. And that was really a big wake-up call. I was having so many other things going on, and I was trying to mask them and also help myself. And I really had this concept of, you have to do it alone. You have to grind alone. You're by yourself. Figure it out by yourself. And I didn't realize that it's truly important to know when to reach outside, to know when to look for that support. And that's how things started to add up for me.
Oh my goodness. I love that, and is so true. And as we get into, these different passions and these different avenues that you've taken, I love that. And I want to just first right there just point out, for those of you that are listening to this or watching the video or reading the blog, that give yourself permission to be multi-passionate. Just because you do speech doesn't mean you can't bake. Like, go baking crazy, start doing that, and be open to those areas of interest. When we pursue our curiosity, sometimes it may seem like we're out in left field doing our own thing, but it could be that that's unlocking the door to a whole other level of understanding or even healing within ourselves.
Completely. And so beautifully said.
Yes. So you started baking, you started recognizing, okay, there's more to it. And like you just said, I am so right there with you. I can so empathize with this idea of, well, I need to muscle through it myself. This is my jam. This is my world. This is my beat. This is what I need to work through. So I need to do it by myself. And I know for me, I also can go to the other, I can psychoanalyze my way out of it. I have a psychology degree. I can sit there and I can coach and counsel myself, but we only know what's in front of us. We don't necessarily recognize what we are blind to until all of a sudden it checks us in other ways. And I know for me, it was my physical health. Sounds like for you, you had root canal. So so where did that take you from there?
I love that you had pointed out, we know what we know. And that's so true, because I often say we don't know what we don't know. And especially in our culture, we go to school and we're expected to go to college and get a degree and have a job, and all will be well. And that is not the trajectory or the norm that I find. Nobody warned me that I was going to have anxiety, and I wouldn't be able to actually identify that it was anxiety until it was completely so far gone, because I'm like, no, that's not me. That's not what it looks like. I didn't know what it looked like on me. I didn't know because my disordered eating wasn't textbook as to what it looked like. I knew I had a problem, but I didn't realize how bad it was until I had a second dental issue. And it's those things that we hide, and understandably so, because they're so deeply personal, and we don't trust, but because there was already shame, there was already judgment from other people, or maybe what would your friends say, what would your family say, and you don't know who to share it with, so you just kind of bottle it up and take it with you, and you privately search for it in your own Google reviews. But again, we don't know what we don't know. So it's truly important to recognize that if we don't know something and we have questions, explore those questions, reach out to other resources. So in my case, mine was Google, and I was actually working to find other people who were able to match up with me to an extent. And I was helping myself to the best of my ability. And I hate that the self-help world has such like a stigma to it, because I'm working on a rebrand, and it should be called Help Yourself. Help yourself. And that's a good thing. And know that in helping yourself, you're helping yourself, and it doesn't have to be by yourself. It can be connecting with other people and connecting with, I don't know this, and because I don't know it, it doesn't make me stupid. It simply makes me unaware of what I don't know. So could you educate me? And making that connection, especially because that was something that was really, really big for me. I felt like I was stupid all the time because I had a label when I was growing up. I was labeled literally with a learning disability. So I went around with this narrative of I'm stupid, I'm stupid, I'm stupid, until I finally started to understand, going, you know what? I've gotten this far. I can't be this stupid. Maybe, Lenora, there's something you just don't know. Let's start doing the detective work and taking that initiative myself, and then starting to move forward made the massive difference. Just having that little bit of a perspective shift was able to show me the next step and the next step and the next step.
Yeah, that's so true. And so you are you're a lifelong learner. It's clear. I'm
I
seeing
do love learning.
already. With and so as I was going through and I was kind of looking over Lenora's website and just reading some of her story, at the bottom of the story, I see all these certifications. And so is that part of your healing process, was going through and really learning and taking ownership of these things that could potentially work to help you?
Very much so. And in this time that I was baking, I had this goal of thinking like, I want to be this great baker and I want to have this great shop. And in that vision of holding that, I actually started to realize that this became less and less of a passion for me, because what I kept hearing from that internal voice was, I don't want to do this anymore. I just want to help people. I just want them to feel better, because I know how much pain I have in, and I want to be able to help people so that they can understand they don't have to feel like shit, or they don't have to feel terrible, or they don't have to feel so weak or helpless. And I want to be able to be of service to people in that way. That was something that was just ongoing. And I would wake up and hear like, I just want to help people. And it was just a deep resonance throughout my entire body. And when I looked, going, okay, well, what really helped me? What do I really find powerful and that really helped me maneuver through these difficult components in my life? And one of them was the one, it says CHRMP after my credentials, and it's Certified Holographic Memory Resolution. And the P is for the practitioner, and I am the 66th person to be certified in this technique. And what it is it's an emotional reframing. It's healing memory that's within the body. So our mind and body are connected, as much as our culture would say our mind is this and our body is this. Our mind and body are one unit, and our body will store the events that happen to us throughout our life. So when we have this terrible memory from when we're 5, it's trapped in our body. And when these things start to come up as eating disorders, as anxiety, as depression, as sleep disorders, there's something else going on. So all these things are the effect. What's the cause? And when I started to work with coaches and with other practitioners, I found such a powerful resolve to issues that were lasting years. Over a decade of my life went to disordered eating. Over a decade. That's a really long time to be trying to help yourself get out of this, and finally coming to the point of saying, you know what? The things that you're trying aren't working. There's something you don't know who can help. And when I had that realization, and it quite literally, one thing led to the other. I was on YouTube. I found this person that was practicing this, and I found the next person, and I found the next person, and that algorithm and universal alignment worked for me. I followed the steps. And when I've had that resolve, and I continued to have more resolve, and the quality of my life improved and got better and better. It was such a deep, powerful movement through me that this is all I do. I absolutely love being able to help people, because I know how many rock bottoms of my own I went to and I cried in. I know it. And somebody said such a beautiful statement to me the other day, and she said, it's not your perfection that qualifies you to help me. It's your pain. And it's just one of those things that just really move you, because I know what it feels like. I don't know exactly to the T what yours feels like, but I know what pain feels like. And therefore, I know I have qualified myself, and I have gotten these certifications in the ways that helped me most. There are ways that may help people in a variety. By all means, explore it. This is the one that resonated with me. And I truly use this technique all the time with all of my clients, and it helps in every facet of my life because it's just that powerful.
So what was your first step in pursuing that? Did you follow the YouTube videos, and were you following along with the guide of the process with the YouTube? Was that your first kind of third party? And then you went into, I want to learn how to actually go deeper with it?
Completely. So I'm certified hypnotist. I'm certified neurolinguistic programmer and certified in this technique. And the person that I found online was a person by the name of Dr. David Snyder. And I had watched his YouTube videos and tried the techniques on myself. And he will even say, it's very hard to be the driver and the passenger at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I would agree with that until you understand somebody walking you through these techniques. Once you understand it and you know, this is how I feel, these are the signs, then it's much easier to do it on yourself. And so I started to connect with his clinic. He had a clinic out, or I believe he still has the clinic out in California. I Zoomed with my personal coach, TJ Zebel, and they were able to help me via Skype. And then after I was able to work directly with somebody, I then went to Brent Baum, who is the person that created the technique, and he certifies people. So I went that way so that I could make sure I was properly credentialed and trained by the creator of the technique. So whether it's somatic breathing or a deep meditation, or if you go to an ashram, or if you find Wim Hof breathing, or whatever, dancing, whatever it is, however you can communicate that safety, that resolve to your nervous system, that is what's most important, because there are lots of things that work for people. This one worked for me the most, which is why it was so profound and so important for me to become certified in these techniques, because the quality of my life versus what it was, completely different.
And that's why you're a more effective and powerful teacher, is because you have the personal investment, experience, and healing from it. Whenever anybody feels like, sales are overwhelming when you're selling something you don't believe in. But when you really, really believe in what it is that you're offering, then it's sharing enthusiasm. It's sharing your excitement for something.
I love the way you said that.
Yeah, I mean, stepping into doing that and stepping in with exactly the tools that help you and getting deep with that is such a beautiful two-way street, because so often in that process, as you're following your own curiosity, you're retaining it better yourself. You're soaking in these things, and you are immediately adding in some accountability, because you're saying, I'm going to share this with others. I've got to be accountable to practice what I preach.
I love the way you said that.
Valuable way, to go further. And so often we have people that struggle with, I don't know what's my passion. I don't know what I'm passionate about. I don't know what to do. And they don't do anything. Yet, how often do our passions come from our own personal journey, our own struggles, our failures, and our growth in the process? And sometimes those happen from being in a stuck spot, or being checked and recognizing, okay, something's not working for me anymore. Sometimes it happens where it's a horrific loss, and you have, Mothers Against Drunk Driving. That happens. That wasn't her goal, I'm sure, as a young mother, that she was going to at one point found Mothers Against Drunk Driving. But because of her life experience, the lady that founded it did that as a result of losing her son to drunk driving. Our lives are going to hit us with all kinds of experiences. Where do we take those, and where can we go from there?
I love that you pointed that. Where do we take it, and where can we go from there? Completely. And when you have that internal component of, oh my God, like, could you imagine that poor mother? That was, I highly doubt that was her intention in her life, was to experience that, but to take that pain and to bring it forward and say, there are other people who have experienced this. There's nobody who knows exactly what I felt like, but I can help raise awareness so that somebody else doesn't have this pain.
Right.
That's an incredible thing. That is movement forward. That is energy moving through you, and to help other people and to be of service is absolutely incredible.
Oh, yeah. And it's so true. It's what you're saying. It's moving forward. We can lean into our pain without needing to relive our pain. And so
beautifully said.
I want to, yeah, just kind of open that door a little bit of what that experience is like. So when she said, when Lenora, when I first heard that she was doing holographic memory resolution, I'm like, have no idea what this is. Okay, I'm interested. And I listened to you on another podcast and I heard you describe it, and it was a beautiful thing. And I know that sometimes when it comes to trauma, there is that fear of, again, not leaning into, but I have to relive it. I don't want to relive the pain. I don't want to relive the trauma. And I don't want to have to go and call out somebody who may have hurt me. They hurt me back then, and I've blocked that out on purpose. I don't want to go back and bring that same person back out again. Can you explain a little bit more about that process? Because I experienced this process, and what I saw was an approach that could bring me very front and center to my past while not throwing me to the wolves or another person to the wolves. And
completely.
I think there's sometimes a fear of going back or facing any of your dark spots in your history, any shadows, any heaviness in your history, because if I bring it out, then that's gotta come to life, and it all has to be aired out for everyone to see, and other people may get destroyed in the process.
Completely. And what happens is, so the mind and body are connected. So when we go through an experience, and our experience of trauma is all different. Our culture has a definition, but what we actually experience as trauma to our nervous system can be as traumatic as seeing your parents fight in a very strong disagreement, can be as traumatic as getting your teddy bear taken away. It's what your system doesn't understand. And what happens is your body, your mind and body, will do one of two things. It will capture the event and it will store it in your body as a trauma until you're ready to deal with it at another time, or you will pass away. There are only two things that can actually happen in this moment of what we refer to as T1, trauma 1. So when your body stores it, it takes a picture of the event and it shows us this is where it is, and it will actually store it in your body. So for me, if I had said, for me, I experienced sexual abuse. And when my coach walked me through the process, I was before the event. So when that happens, what we actually do is we go in as of today and we take that little person. So my version of myself, my adult version of myself, went into the picture of my younger version and took her out of that picture and was able to establish safety and was able to reframe it, because that part of me was still locked in that experience. So I didn't have to, in EDMR and other techniques, you may have to go through that entire experience. Whereas in my story right now, and in this approach, we didn't have to do it that way. We were able to do it any way that we wanted. And what I had come up with at the time was, I just want her out of this scene. And through using the conscious and subconscious mind, and my coach was having a conversation with me, they were talking me through this, and I'm in it and I'm teary-eyed because the memory is painful, but it's just simply how my system was processing it. And that's a good thing. Sometimes we look at crying as, oh, you're sad, and crying is simply, it's a release. It's just like sweating. It just is coming out, and this is how our neurology works. So this is a good thing. We're able to take her out of that scene and bring her to a safer place. And we were able to clear that memory and establish safety in the way that was best for me. Everybody has a different way of establishing safety and of clearing a memory. But bottom line is, you want to clear the memory, and your nervous system needs to establish safety and resolve again. So that way, that charge is no longer in your body, and it's now a neutral response, and you're not having these responses, because what's happened is there is a part of you that is still trapped there, and it's still going off in your body. Once we establish safety, it's no longer going off in your body. We've resolved it, we've closed it, we can move forward. And that is where that power of memory-based pain comes from, and memory-based healing.
Oh, and I loved that. I mean, I think of the word reframing being such a big one. Reframing doesn't take away a situation at all. It just reframes it in a different way. That was a big, I mean, that was a big aha for me, as I went through some stuff last year, where even just simply reframing a few situations of my past, of saying, you know what, some of it was my responsibility and my fault. Some of it, no, that was just that I was not treated well. And
Completely.
and just voicing that. And I remember going to a point of having this realization where I went through some of my own processing, some with people, but really I had a good amount of stuff where I was going back to old journals, and I was taking it, microdosing, taking it a piece at a time and looking at stuff. And just the simple acknowledgement of saying to myself, of saying to my husband, you know, well, I wasn't treated nicely. This wasn't about me. And I wasn't, and I am angry about that. And that wasn't right. I was able to let go where I wasn't before, because I had never acknowledged a right or a wrong scenario in it. It was simply, this was a part of the haze. And I think that, yeah, as I have gone into different ways of getting support, first off, for those of us who think that talking to another person is not helpful, usually there is a person behind that book that you read or that video that you watched. I mean, there is a real life person. Even if we're getting the self-help stuff, there's still a real life person behind there. And so I kind of, you know, letting go of that and being willing to talk with people was helpful. But then the other thing of just recognizing that there is acknowledgement of emotion, there's reframing scenarios, there's seeing it from a perspective of a mature adult seeking to heal versus the pain of the child, where I feel like so much of there's a lot of healing and therapy that happens that is not about, this is the model or the mode and it's this technique and this specific strategy or something, as much as it's allowing us space to look in a different way, or to bring space, period. Because like you said, it's now this little black box. And when you walked me through some visualization models, you know, whether I have a, you know, a little black box of a shadow, or whether that, you know, looks like I don't know, an orangutan in somebody else's world or whatever. I mean, there can be whatever it is. Just the opportunity to sit and to say, this is a date with myself, to heal myself, to look at any ways of being open with just simply being present with where you are, is so, so valuable. And I felt that going through this sort of process with you was such a beautiful way to dig deeper. Yet, wow, and so often with so many ways of therapy, you only dig as deep as you're willing to go. There's no forcing in this. It's my mind, it's my emotions. And you were able to unlock a little bit more, a little bit more of not we need to deconstruct the past. It was, can this tool benefit you? And the tools that I achieved in just working with you and talking with you gave me a new tool. I have a new visualization exercise that brings a new level of connection with myself. And from that, it prompted a new desire in me to start journaling that I have not done.
That's incredible. I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, I want anybody who's listening to be encouraged that there are lots of forms of therapy. There are lots of forms of healing. I love that idea of help yourself. This isn't self-help. Help yourself in any way, way, shape, or form. You know, I believe in total communication when it comes to any kind of, you know, when I do sign language, I do total communication, anything. Same thing with this, total help. whatever that is.
I
Be
love
that
that.
books, be that this podcast. And where does this podcast take you, or where does this challenge you or inspire you to maybe dig a little bit deeper, to pick up that book or make that phone call or do a little bit of research, or find or have that conversation with somebody that just allows you to get a little bit more connected.
That is so beautifully said.
Yeah. The older we
Yeah.
get, the more we have that opportunity to be disconnected from that young person that we were. And the more that we actually do recognize that we are one and the same, the easier our life tends to flow in the process. Yeah.
Beautifully said. Completely. Especially because when we often think like, oh, this one technique or this one thing will help me, when there's so many techniques, and to have that integration of saying, okay, well, this one's working with me and I can now journal at a deeper level. This one's working with me and I can now do this at a deeper level. It's beautiful, intrinsic and extrinsic. What can I learn out here? What can I bring in? If this isn't working for me, no problem. It's not working for me. It worked for my best friend, but it's not working for me. I'm going to go over here and try this. And to really, I love that you also pointed out to look outside of yourself and have a conversation. It doesn't make us weak. It doesn't make us less than. It doesn't mean that we're not validated or that we're not heard, but to really explore that relationship with yourself so that you can really have that wholeness that we so deeply crave.
Oh man, and it made me start thinking here. I just had an epiphany. Maybe this whole multi-passionate and healing journey have something to do with one another. So
Integration.
as you pursue your passions and as you start looking at what are those things that are speaking to you, it opens the door and unlocks. And here we've listened to your journey, and you went to baking, and in the baking you started to get passion and desire for something beyond the baking, and it did take you beyond. So, is it a failure for the baking? Heck no. That's completely got you to this understanding, and it gave you the space to do that. So what if we gave ourselves a little bit more grace and love and permission to be multi-passionate, and to look
Grace, love, and permission.
Yeah, and the opportunities then to go out and to seek opportunities for growth that also reinforce your own healing. What better gift can we give to the world?
Stunning. That is absolutely stunning.
Oh, I love having these conversations with you, and yeah, we have definitely figured out that we have lots that we could talk about. I would so love to connect with you at some point in person, and we'll geek out over all the books we've read and all of that.
Love that.
Thank you so much for this conversation. I hope the biggest message from this for all of you listening is that pursue your passions and see what it uncovers for you, and don't be afraid of what help looks like. It comes in a lot of different ways, and yeah, I could identify in your journey. Your help might have been your baking, your dentistry, and your YouTube video. All were part of the help that got you to where you are today.
All part of it, absolutely. And for your listeners, if you have questions, reach out to me. Everyone who hears this gets a complimentary 30 minutes of my time. So reach out to me by all means. Simply tell me Mama says namaste, and we will have no problem getting you scheduled and booked for a call, a Zoom time.
And yes, and I will have a link to reach out to Lenora in the blog that goes along with this. Of course, there's always a YouTube video that goes with this. You get to see us as well as listen to us, and the blog post. And if you're listening to this, it's dtbhorizons.com. And that is what does DTB stand for?
Determined to be.
And isn't that even better right there? Mm-hmm. Determined to be.
So whatever you are determined to be.
I love that. Thank you so much. Are there any last words you have for our audience?
I always have joys and such a wonderful time spending time with you. So thank you so much, Ashley.
All right. Thank you so much. dtbhorizons.com. I will have more information in the website. And let this be your week to dig deep, check out your passions, pursue healing and growth and love and grace for yourself, as we also then go out and celebrate how the uniqueness in each of us strengthens all of us.
1,
Namaste.
2, 3.
Thank you, Lenora.
Up with the rising sun, already on the run. Mama says namaste. Life is a tangled mess, and you don't have to stress. Mama says namaste. 'Cause today I will stand up and be all the change that I want to see in this world. Boys and girls, you gotta have to stand up to be free. Namaste in your heart. Take a deep breath in and let's start a brand new day. With Mama says namaste.